picture comes into focus. Week 17 of NFL Primetime. In the AFC, it's simple. The Jets and Broncos win, they're in. But the Ravens, Jaguars, and Bills were still alive. The Jets and Rams play OT, while the Saints, Panthers, and Vikings futures hang in the balance. The NFC West title's still up for grabs. It'll either be the Seahawks or Rams. And of the big guns, who played and for how long? Confused? Don't worry. We'll spell out everything next on NFL Primetime.
NFL Primetime is presented by NFL Primetime. It's Miller time. And now, here's your host, Chris Berman.
Hello once again, everybody. Happy New Year from everybody here at ESPN to all of you. Chris Berman, Tom Jackson, Week 17. Who to play, who not. I mean, not our usual wild final Sunday of the season, but yet some drama.
Well, we've had some great Week 17s. We had a couple of spots still open for the playoffs. We found out who was going to fill them, but just not the way we usually get them filled.
Well, we're going to explain everything to you, but let's start with some of the games just as teams are trying to finish up with a win off the charts. The Lions are at the Titans. Joey Harrington coming on a little bit lately, but Keith Bulluck come on here, and this is what we call the hat trick, Tom. The sack, the strip, the recovery, the touchdown for the Pro Bowl linebacker Keith Bulluck, Tennessee.
Yeah, hat trick, triple play, whatever you want to call it. He rushes in. Great job of stripping the ball, recovering the fumble, breaking away from a tackle, gets a good block there, gets to the end zone.
Billy Volek in place of Steve McNair is certainly thrown for big yards. A lot to this man, Drew Bennett. 14-10, the Titans lead, and new math being done in Tennessee. Lions are down 24-19, 4th and 3 under a minute to go. Joey Harrington and Donnie Nicky will knock it away. And in the end, it was Tennessee getting a win. They haven't had any in a while. They beat the Lions 24-19, who showed some signs. Jones is going to be a nice runner. Harrington threw for 346, but neither team certainly having the type of season they were hoping for.
No, and I think these are the two teams, though, that when we look next year, we see better seasons for both of these teams next season.
And at least Detroit learned how to win on the road, although not today. They'll be better. Browns and the Texans. And the Texans were a team that really knocked Jacksonville off their keister. Meanwhile, Dom Capers saying, okay, well, we did that. Now let's try to finish 500. But Alvin McKinley delivers a big sack on David Carr in Cleveland. Cleveland, at least for Terry Robisky here at the end, playing hard. They sacked Carr 6 times. Carr can move for a big guy, too. The whole team's after him.
Yeah, you watch him run here. He has tremendous courage. You know, he runs downfield. He very seldom slides. He's going to get what he can. Superior athlete in this game playing quarterback.
He needs a lawnmower, though, after the play. Meanwhile, Dominic Davis is in. He had 103 yards at 22-14 Cleveland. So here we are, a minute and a half to go. The onside kick. And the good hands team all day long on these onside kicks and all the games you'll see had it going. And so Carr, the Texans do not get to 500. Cleveland wins it 22-14. They snap their 9-game losing streak. 131 yards rushing for Lee Suggs. When we continue, Week 17. Donovan McNabb of the Eagles. Well, he wasn't playing. Which Eagles played, and could they look better than they did Monday night? And a wild AFC picture. The Bills had to win. The Jets thought they had to win. Jacksonville trying to stay alive. We'll outline it all for you when we return. Broncos 2.
NFL Primetime, presented by Miller Lite. Grab yourself a great-tasting, low-carb Miller Lite.
And here we go. The 49ers already on the clock. And Tom Brady and the Patriots. Tom Brady grew up rooting for the 49ers in the Bay Area. And look at this. Ken Dorsey to Steve Bush. And the Niners lead the Patriots in Foxborough 7-0. First time in 20 regular season games or 23 games, including playoffs. The Pats did not score first. And it happens against the woe-begone 49ers. Then Tom Brady in the red zone.
Well, look at Brady. He reads the coverage. The corner is off. He throws the dump to Deion Branch. David Patton gets the block for him. That's perfect execution of a play down in the red zone. Very difficult execution of a play by the world champion Patriots.
Brady with a quarterback sneak on 4th and 2 in the third quarter. Now Brady played, 2.5 quarters, rolled Bohan Davey came in late in the third drive, continues fourth quarter. Corey Dillon a touchdown. And the Patriots spotting the Niners a 7-0 lead. A workmanlike in which most of their regulars played into the third quarter. The Patriots win 21-7. Teddy Bruschi, by the way, 15 tackles in this game. Dillon ran for 1,635 yards this year at $1.16 today. The Patriots, who finished 14-2, have won 29 of their last.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later on. But this team handled the warm-up for the playoffs, I think, the way you should.
And at 2-14, the 49ers have tied for the worst record in franchise history. Meanwhile, the Eagles, you saw them Monday night against the Rams as they played their JV. And what would they do? Well, first of all, everybody in Philadelphia, across America, but Philly, where he was beloved, Reggie White, thinking about the late Reggie White, 92 decals on their helmets, and a moment of silence. Now, Donovan McNabb and many other regulars did not play. Coy Detmer played, and the Eagles couldn't block like they couldn't block for them on Monday night. A day to forget. Justin Smith nails him there. Then Detmer intentionally grounding in the third quarter. I mean, already they're down 17-3. And even when the Eagles were threatening, Detmer, that's a nice play by Delta O'Neal. Bengals wanted to get to 500, Tom. And Detmer picked up twice, and then Jeff Blake came in and threw an interception together right away on the first play. I mean, it was brutal. Roderick Hood, what was the day like for Philly? That's a fumble, and the Bengals get it. 5 Eagle turnovers on this day. Rudy Johnson broke Corey Dillon's franchise record for most yards in a season, 1,435. He had 99 today. And so McNabb and Westbrook and Kearse and Dawkins and Lito Shuffle Shepard sat out. And the Eagles were lambasted 38-10. Hooray for the Bengals. 2 straight years, 500 at least for Marvin Lewis. And something that we should point out, you pointed out earlier this morning on Countdown, we'll reiterate, only 2 teams have made the Super Bowl, losing their last 2 regular season games. The 67 Packers, the Lombardi's Packers, who won it. 72 Skins did not. Odd predicament for Philadelphia.
That's correct.
And they still have home field no matter what. Should they be concerned going into the playoffs?
I think they have to be concerned, but I certainly understand that predicament that you're talking about for head coach Andy Reid. You lose T.O. You cannot afford to lose Brian Westbrook. You can't afford to lose Donovan McNabb. You can't afford to lose any of the other major players on your offense or defense, so you have to suffer through these 2 games. But I think in terms of the psyche and the mentality of the Philadelphia Eagles, we're not going to know where they are until a couple of weeks down the road. We've seen them now against the Dallas Cowboys in that fourth quarter without
the whole second half.
Yes, against the Rams and now against the Bengals. And they don't look like a team ready to play, but we're not looking at the guys who are going to be doing the damage.
Only a touchdown in each of those instances in those games, and McNabb led them to 2 of the 3. They knew this was coming. They would hope to get out of it with a win, but you're right.
Can't worry about it.
They will have 2 weeks. They will be ready, but they're going.
We'll find out. We'll all find out together.
Philadelphia is still the top seed, but not ending the regular season. 13-1, ends up at 13-3. Brett Favre, would he play against the Bears? Actually, the Bears had a chance to sweep the Pack for the first time since '91, but Brett and the Pack had other ideas. Now, Jets, Rams, affecting playoffs in both conferences. It was so big, they won a 5th quarter.
Welcome back to NFL Primetime, presented by Miller Lite.
Packers and the Bears. Way back in September, the Pack lost to the Bears. And yes, as in Philly and around the league, number 92 will the decal on the Packers helmet as well for the late, great Reggie White. Favre to Bubba Franks.
Every time we're inside the red zone, Bubba Franks.
They're just excellent at this 17 yards. So Brett played a couple series, and wouldn't you know, a couple of touchdown passes to his fine fullback, William Henderson. Nobody there. 30 TD passes again this year. Brett Favre, 14-7 the Packers. Ted Hutchinson looked good that one game, Tom, but the last month, Darren Sharper could go all the way. 21-7, back. And now, what you all were waiting for, Favre, sidelines, Craig Nall from northwestern state of Louisiana. Nall to Javon Walker, but he's hit hard. Coach's decision not return, and you can understand that. So Mike Sherman, again, one of the many coaches then I had to decide, okay, who do I keep in, who do I not? There's no easy answer. There's no, quote, correct answer. But I tell you what, unlike some of the other teams resting their players, the Packers won big.
Packers won the football.
The oldest rivalry in football, 31-14. So Green Bay finishes 10-6, and of course already champs of the Norris Division. Favre 9-13 for 196, and he's won 21 of 26.
Pretty good day for Favre, huh?
Yeah, like in for a quarter. Bucks, Cardinals. We don't know yet. Emmett's going to think about it. Could this be the last game of his career? We hope not. We hope he does what he wants to do. Chris Sims starting for Tampa Bay, and one of the fine rookie receiving seasons in the history of the league turned in by this man, Michael Clayton. 75 yards. Woo. Wow. 7-6 Bucks in Arizona. Cards have kicked a field goal to go up 9-7, and Emmett, there you go. Make the first guy miss, Emmitt Smith. And that would set up Neil Rackers, who tries to rack up another field goal. Emmett, 23 for 69 today. Meanwhile, Chris Sims picked off by Adrian Wilson. And so 4 field goals. Look, wasn't pretty, but the Bucs, go out. They get carried out of this season. It just did a bad season, a bad finish for the Bucs. 5-11. Arizona showed some glimpses in year 1 under Denny Green. They're 6-10. Emmitt Smith, 937 yards this season. If you're counting it home, 18-3-55. Arizona at least a step in the right direction.
Arizona took a step in the right direction. I remember from last year, Tampa Bay saying we can't let this happen again. Exactly what has happened again.
It did. They're going to have to go back to the drawing board. The coaches said as much, John Gruden. When we return, Chad Pennington. The Jets win and they're in St. Louis. Herm Edwards figuring, well, time to rev up the offense after last week's dud against New England and Buffalo. Playoff atmosphere there. The Bills have won 6 in a row. But, oh, by the way, they're playing a team who had won 13 in a row, Pittsburgh. Visa Skycam will give you a glimpse of Eli Manning, the final game of the year. It's the Giants at home against old friend Bill Parcells and the Dallas Cowboys. NFC East football, Sunday Night Football, bottom of the hour. A playoff atmosphere in Buffalo. They hadn't circled the wagons like this or had enthusiasm throughout the city since the late 90s. Problem, even though the Bills were hoping to win their 7th in a row, A, it didn't guarantee them playoffs, and B, they're playing a team in the Pittsburgh Steelers who came to town 14-1. And obviously, their JV is still pretty darn good. You knew it would be a head knocker between the teams from Western New York and Western Pennsylvania. Drew Bledsoe trying to warm up. And I tell you who has, my goodness, now you see why Tom Donahoe gambled a year, with the draft. Willis McGahee, does he run hard or what, Tom? 3-yard touchdown, 7-3 Bills. It's a feverish pitch in Buffalo. Tommy Maddox, his first start since week 2. Antoine Randall caught 7 today. Boy, they have skill players.
And I think we saw the playbook open up a little bit because Tommy Maddox really is able to carry the whole playbook in terms of execution of game plan.
Maddox picked off by a guy who should have been in the Pro Bowl, Nate Clements. Oh, my darling, it's Clements time. Touchdown, Buffalo. 17-16 Bills. Third quarter. Now, later in the third quarter, McGahee. Whoa, Ike Taylor, get out of here. That's an old-fashioned stiff arm. 16 yards on the play. Crowd going nuts. After Bill's penalty forces a field goal attempt, Brian Lindell. He's had a good year, but when they need him, I don't want to say it.
Wide right.
Don't say it. Missed from 28 yards. Under 2 minutes left, third quarter. Okay, no bus, but we got a rookie running back, says Pittsburgh, Willie Parker. The big fella from North Carolina, 19 carries. He had 102 yards. Sets up a field goal by Reed, 19-17. Pittsburgh. Same score, and watch Richard Coakley, number 21. Bob, boom! The corner blitz. James Hardy, Harrison. Touchdown. Defense. They've got depth everywhere, and the defense makes the play. 26-17, Pittsburgh.
Watch the guys come off the edge. It's Russell Stavance and Cole Claw, and here they come. And once the ball pops out, get the nice recovery, easy jog into the end zone. It's not the hat trick, but it's a double play. I picked it off and I took it in.
On 4th and 1, the Steelers activated their third quarterback, Brian St-Pierre. Sacre bleu. He gains 2 yards and first down. And Pittsburgh, this is what they do. They held the ball for 9 minutes, setting up a field goal, 29-17, 2 minutes to go. Bledsoe. Talk about a fine rookie receiver. How about Lee Evans? Fist in the air. 55-yard completion. Same drive, but the Bills need 2 scores. McGahee. 18 carries, 79 yards, 2 touchdowns, 29-24. Just over a minute to go. Onside kick. But remember the guy that was stiff-armed? This time, he gets revenge. That's Ike Taylor falling on the ball. And the Pittsburgh Steelers have done it again. The Bills see their playoff chances slip away. An 0-4 start. They were trying to become only the second team to make the playoffs after an 0-4 start. And they remember at least what games like this were like. And maybe they can have a lot more of them next year. They finished 9-7. The Pittsburgh Steelers at 15-1, just the 4th team ever to do that, and only the 72 Miami Dolphins won 14 straight regular season games, as the Pittsburgh Steelers have done. We'll talk about more of them in a minute, because what a job they did coming to play in a quote game that didn't mean anything for them. Well, this game, the Jets-Rams, meant a lot to both teams. The Jets knew for the second straight week, if they win, they're in. And it'll be one of the very few times, if they won, that franchise had seen a team win 11 games. It'll be only the 4th time for a franchise been around since 1960. For the Rams, you scratch your head, but here they were on the final Sunday at 7-8 with a chance at A, playoffs, B, division. Here's our prime cut. Rams do play better at home, as you know that. Chad Pennington questions what kind of offense could they run. A couple weeks ago against Seattle, the team the Rams were playing against in the NFC West, the Jets look great. But against the Patriots, nothing doing. Meanwhile, Mark Bolger. I hope the flag is the other way. It was. Touchdown to Isaac Bruce, 7-3 St. Louis. Wayne Corbett suffered a concussion. So maybe in his final game, well, we'll see. That for the Jets, he's out. Chris Baker takes the swing pass from Pennington, 10-7. Jets. Under 2 minutes to go in the half. Rams deep. But Eric Coleman, the rookie free safety, he's going to be a good one, Tom. Picks off Bolger at the 1. Herm Edwards appreciates the effort. 3-and-out Jets. Rams first play next drive. And look at this. The Bondatory Holt touchdown looked like he could have coverage.
Great play, but only 3-man rush, and they didn't get any pressure on Mark Bolger.
It looks like the safety had a play, but just was late getting the hand of 14-10 Rams at the half. Steven Jackson, the rookie running back, 20-yard touchdown. He's ahead, 21-10 of the Rams. John Abraham, again, the fine defensive end Jets had to sit it out. But the play that might have turned it around for the Jets, Jericho Cotchery in the rye, could go all the way. B.J. Askew, a great block on Wilkins there, and the sideline of the Jets say, we're back in this, and indeed they are. 21-20. Now, Bolger, pass tip Sean Ellis. Vilma, would you go out and walk Dino? I need a Brontosaurus burger. Jonathan Vilma, rookie, touchdown, 38 yards. 26-21, they go for 2, don't get it. Now, can the Rams come back? 5 minutes left. Bolger, Torrey Holt. This is the way it was supposed to be all year for the Rams. 27-26, St. Louis. They go for 2. Steven Jackson, left side. Bang, in. 29-26, St. Louis. Here come the Jets. 3rd and 6, 2 minutes to go. They're at the 32. Curtis, my favorite Martin, had a big day. 153 yards rushing past the idle Jerome Bettis and Eric Dickerson. Now he's 4th all time on the rushing list. Pennington. Oh, Adam Archuleta could have sealed the deal. Mike Martz knows it. They know it, and with 6 seconds go, trailing 3. Jets get second life, actually third life. There were 2 Ram plays. Doug Bryan, good. We're tied at 29, and the Rams can't bear to look. They're going to overtime. 53 yards, Bryan for the win, and life of Bryan, no good. And the Rams, each team had the ball twice in the OT. Dead. Mark Bolger. A swing pass to Steven Jackson. If I only had a first down. All the way down to the 13-yard line. Then Jeff Wilkins, 31-yard field goal. Good. It's good. It's good. And the Rams win it. 32-29. And by the time this game was over, late in the 5th quarter, if you will, the Rams knew that they were in playoff business. They didn't know as the game was going on. They needed to win and hope. The Jets found out during the fifth quarter that they either way would be in playoff business, although when they started out, a loss could have dealt them a huge blow. So St. Louis and the Jets, playoff bound. St. Louis wins the game as Mark Bolger threw for 450 yards. We'll get back to the Jets a little bit later as we set up the opening round, and back to the Rams a little bit later. But let's talk the AFC, the big picture. We saw New England earlier time, and we just saw Pittsburgh against Buffalo in a playoff atmosphere. How about the way these two teams approached the day?
Very impressed with the two top seeds in the AFC. You know, and I think that Coach Belichick really gets the nod here when it comes to playing Tom Brady, two-time Super Bowl MVP, kept him in the game for almost 3/4 of football, as he did most of his starters. He wants them to be sharp going into the playoffs. Same thing for Coach Cowher, I think, with the exception of his quarterback and the bus, both nicked up a little bit. I've always said if you're hurt and you can't play, then don't play. But both of those teams played to win the football games. They want to go into the playoffs, and they want to go in sharp.
And not only would Pittsburgh play to win, you knew it was going to be a physical game situation, and not a beautiful day outside.
That's right.
It wasn't freezing cold, and you don't go 15-1 by accident.
Yeah.
84 Niners, 85 Bears of Coach Ditka, 98 Vikes who didn't get to the Super Bowl. The first two did win the Super Bowl, and now the Pittsburgh Steelers.
14 in a row.
14 in a row, and a well-deserved week off. Very, very impressive. Meanwhile, the Atlanta Falcons already in his second seed, but now the Seattle Seahawks, after they kicked off, found out that the Rams had won. So the Seahawks now had to win. They're already in the playoffs to win the NFC West and get a home game. And so here we go. From Seattle, Michael Vick didn't play last week. He's going to start for the Atlanta Falcons. Meanwhile, Sean Alexander, rushing title up for grabs, began the day with a big lead, but they saw that Curtis Martin had a huge game. And so we're tied at 7. That's 20 touchdowns. Alexander Vick hit fumble. And at this moment, oh my goodness, he got hit. He was ginger. Turned out to be okay, but you don't tell me everybody in Atlanta was
holding your breath.
Vick still 3rd and 10. His second quarter, he's in and makes the one play, but now all of a sudden, what? And his own guy and two Seahawks. That drive, by the way, gets a field goal 10-7, and that's enough. After the field goal, Vick is done for the day. Matt Hasselbeck didn't play last week. D'Angelo Hall, number 1 pick, could go all the way. So Seattle, who needs to win to get a home game, now trails 17-7. They've scored a touchdown to make it 17-14. First and goal in the third quarter. Hasselbeck, tight end Jeremy Stevens. Seahawks, come on, Seattle. Let's go. They have the lead 21-17, 21-20. Sean Alexander. Bang, this is a tough run.
Hard.
11 yards. He loses his shoe on the run. Shortly after, second and goal. He needs 1 yard to tie Curtis Martin for the rushing title, but, they need a touchdown. Hasselbeck gets the sneak. So they go ahead 28-20, and sure enough, wouldn't get a chance again. Matt Schaub, seconds to go, stuffed to Schaub, swing to Fred McCrary, first down, 3rd and goal, last play of the game. Schaub, touchdown, Brian Finneran. Seattle can't hold him, and now it's 28-26, a 2-point conversion, and we go to overtime. Inside handoff to Warwick Dunn.
Just an odd play. But this is the area of the field where most times the Falcons depend on Mike Vick to somehow get it in.
And so the Seattle Seahawks exhale now. They win the NFC West. They finish at 9-7. They're the champs. St. Louis goes to the playoffs as a wild card team. They'll play each other. We'll set up the playoffs for you. 28-26. The Seahawks win, and that 1 yard is the difference in the rushing title. Alexander ends up with 1,696. That's ahead of Corey Dillon, 1,635, who was third. But Curtis Martin, 1,697, the oldest rushing champion, 31 years and 8 months since Marion Motley in 1950. That would be going back away. Congratulations to Seattle. They're in as the champs. And Baltimore, they were hoping for a couple losses by Denver and by Jacksonville. Meanwhile, the New Orleans Saints, no one gave them a chance against Red Hot Carolina. Could they win, and could they get in? Vinny Testaverde, the Dallas Cowboys, at the Meadowlands to play the New York Football Giants. Sunday Night Football, the final game of the year. You'll want to watch it after NFL Draft Day.
Welcome back to NFL Primetime, presented by Miller Lite.
How about the season turned in by the San Diego Superchargers and Marty Schottenheimer? First draft pick last year, won 4 games. They're trying to win their 12th. Playing red-hot Kansas City. Drew Brees, LaDainian Tomlinson sitting. But Doug Flutie, 42 years young, all-reliable, still very good. You can see him Osgood. And then Flutie takes it himself. How about the Chargers leading 10-3? Still second quarter. Flutie to Ryan Krause. Krause, who had another catch where he carried the whole Chiefs on his back. Doug Flutie. You know what? They're in pretty good hands if something happens to Brees. Meanwhile, Phillip Rivers starts his second half. And, you know, it's his first real action, except for a couple of handoffs. It's a fumble. Rivers to Malcolm Floyd. Hey! Rivers throws a touchdown. 24-3 Chargers. Chiefs, we know, can come back. Trent Green, Tony Gonzalez, 97th catch. That's a new tight end record, breaking the old mark set by Ben Wintercoach 10 years ago with the Patriots. Gonzalez ends up with 102, but Doug Flutie throwing for 199, rushing for 25. Tom, the Chargers are 12-4 and proud champs of the
Fantastic season for Marty Schottenheimer.
And now we go to the playoff questions unanswered in the AFC, and we'll kind of go in order of who needs the most help. The Baltimore Ravens had a tough December, and so they needed what we call a swarm-like series of events. But first things first, could the Ravens win at home against the suddenly pretty good Miami Dolphins, who won 4 games all year, but 2 of them last week? Ray Lewis sitting, broken right wrist. Sage Rosenfels, parsley, sage, rosemary, and what a time on your first pass of the day in your first start to Chris Chambers. Are you kidding me? 76 yards. The Dolphins lead 7-0. Jarrett Johnson, though, intercepts the pass by Rosenfels. Ravens lead 17-7. Another field goal. Ravens lead 20-7. Jamal Lewis. It's going to be 1,000. It's hard to get to it for him, but he had a 1,000-yard season, 167 today, 27-7, the Ravens. One of our favorite stories this year is young Wes Welker for Miami. Look at him make the move, and he could go all the way. Look at him outrun the 4 Ravens. He was the young man against New England that kicked an extra point, kicked the field goal, returned punts, returned the kickoffs. Meanwhile, fumble, Jamal Lewis in the end zone. Ooh, Miami with the safety, and all of a sudden, they're within a touchdown, 30-23. And Terrell Suggs gets by 2 to... He can play now. It's not like Ray Lewis, the only defensive player on that team. And so a higher scoring game you might have seen. Miami played well for Bates. You got to give him credit. And they'll have a new coach in Nick Saban. Bates certainly helped his resume. But the Baltimore Ravens finished 9-7. They want help, and they won by the count of 30-23. Now, the Jags and the Raiders. So Baltimore had to hope that one of the teams losing later on would be Jacksonville. They're at the Raiders. Jacksonville had matters in their own hands a week ago, but they fell to Houston. Now they got to beat the Raiders, and they need help. Ernest Wilford. Remember, he caught the last-second pass in Buffalo week 1, and that's a big catch from Byron Leftwich. Greg Jones. Touchdown. 13-6 in the third quarter. Jags lead their 8-8. Then, 3rd and goal, Raiders under 5 minutes to go. Zach Crockett, he's tough inside the 5, Tom. Flag on the play. Leg whip penalty, Raiders.
We saw a couple of those today. A couple of leg whips.
Pittsburgh had a trip,
that's
right?
Correct.
2 minutes for tripping. Kerry Collins to Donovan Darius, but the problem is wrong team. Picked off by Jacksonville. Then Collins with his team down by 7. Incomplete pass interference called on Dwayne Washington. So here are the Raiders. Zach Crockett, couple of yards. Kerry Collins, 2nd down. Play action. Good pursuit, Jacksonville. Tipped away. 3rd and goal. Zach, king of the wild frontier. Crockett, no gain. And 4th and goal. Fumble. Kerry Collins fumbled. And the Jags, hey, Now that essentially, that would knock Baltimore out if you're following me. The Jags need help, but they win it by the count of 13-6. And so it wasn't pretty. But Jacksonville, you know what? All in all, they got to be pretty pleased with their season.
Absolutely. 9-7. They, played great for Jack Del Rio all year. Took some strides forward. Tough conference. Tough conference to get in.
And so the Jaguars now would hope that Peyton Manning would play some for Tony Dungy, and the Denver Broncos would fall at home. Peyton Manning began the game with a short pass to Marvin Harrison. Peyton 1 of 2, 6 yards, only played 1 drive. Reason? Rookie Jim Sorgi, just in case. Tony wanted him to play with the first team line, with the first team everybody else. Here's Sorgi to Harrison for a first down. Sorgi to Harrison. Anybody can do it, see? 50, a touchdown pass by the Colts. Peyton had the first 49. Sorgi 7 of 7 on the drive. Jake Plummer, bootleg to Ashley Lilly. Oh, that's pretty. And look at Lilly in the end zone. They're tied at 7. He played ball at Hawaii. He knows how to swim. Crazy play later in the first. Sorgi to Dallas Clark. Boom! Nailed by John Lynch. Reggie Wayne picks it up. Wayne, fumble. Kelly Herndon picks it up. Flag down, but the play continues. Look at the return by Herndon. Whoop! And then, whoop! And it gets a block, and then he could go all the way. Tony Dungy challenged it. He usually doesn't win them.
Yeah, but when we saw this initially, you saw Clark bobbling the ball a little bit. He was hit by Lynch. When he hit the ground, he was not able to make a football move. It was called dead on that spot. Tony won a challenge.
And then Lynch, such a tough player, may be hearing from the league later. But at any rate, Dungy won the challenge. Meanwhile, Plummer to Patrick Hapitz, a touchdown. The Broncos lead 17-7. Sorgi, Reggie Wayne, stately Wayne Manor out of the bat cave. Touchdown, 17-14. So, see, Sorgi has 2. And it's 17-14. Kennedy beaten there, but Jake Plummer, this is what he can do. And this is why Mike Shanahan says, hey, he can do these things. That's a great play. Plummer dives, pylon, touchdown, 27-14. And you know what? So you know what those guys are saying? Mike, Tony, good to see you. We'll see you next week. Like last year when they played late in the season, but not the last game of the season. They're going to play next week at Indianapolis. The Broncos with the win. Congratulations to Mike Shanahan and company. They make the playoffs at 10-6. So that closes the door. AFC playoffs, take out your pen. Saturday on ABC, it'll be the late game for ABC. Jets at San Diego. They played in week 2. Chargers weren't them yet. The Jets won the game. Denver at Indianapolis. Now, last year in this very spot, the Colts smoked them.
That's right.
And so we'll see if things have changed this year. So that is the AFC plan. And, of course, New England is 2 and Pittsburgh is 1, and they get the bye. So pretty loaded bracket as we've known for a while.
We're looking at 6 teams, all with double-digit wins, and 4 of those teams with 12 wins or more. So I'm looking forward to the AFC playoffs. I think it's going to be great. A lot of familiarity when it comes to these teams playing, especially teams like the Broncos going back to play the Colts. You almost feel like they're division opponents because they see each other so often. It's going to be very interesting. And the number 1 and 2 seeds, probably the best 2 teams in football.
Yep, absolutely. And the Jets get their second life, and they lose, but they won 10 games. They won 10 games. But San Diego, don't overlook them.
No. Good defense.
They've opened up
good defense as well.
Arrested a lot of guys who played very good defense against the Chiefs today. AFC playoffs are loaded. When we come back, we'll give you the NFC situation, and I don't want to use the term humorous, but maybe I should. The NFC playoff situation, the Vikes trying to get in. Carolina and the Saints still home against Brooks in kind of a elimination game. Who would know that both would be in that mode?
Inside the Numbers. Brought to you by Visa, proud sponsor of the NFL. Get ready for the game.
And now we go to the NFC playoff openings, and one involved the Minnesota Vikings, who at 8-7 knew that if they won, they would be in. But they went through this last year at Arizona. They seem to go through this all the time. And they're at Washington, a team long eliminated, but with a tough defense. So here we go to FedEx Field, where you positively, absolutely have to get there overnight. And that was the Vikings. But right away, talk about overnight. How about the first play of the game? Antonio Brown, kick return. These are the Vikings in a key game, giving up a big 66-yard return.
It set the tone for the rest of the football game.
Patrick Ramsey to Chris Cooley. Cooley quietly's had a nice second half of the season. 7-0 Redskins. Early second quarter, Michael Bennett, 2 yards. Second and goal, Dante Culpepper. And with the pressure by Ronaldo Wynn and Cornelius Griffin, incomplete, but roughing the passer called.
Roughing the passer is a touchy call. Let the quarterback play football.
And so first and goal for the Vikes. Mo Williams down to the 2. Second and goal. Mo, you on it? Down to the 1. Third and goal. Meanwhile, incomplete Culpepper. Guess what? A field goal. All those plays, and they get a field goal. Now in the third, Culpepper to Randy Moss. And he can make these catches now.
Yeah. Take another look at it. Look at him get position. He has maybe the best set of hands in the history of this game, except for the guy he played with, Chris Carter.
14-10. Culpepper scrambles to Randy Moss. Now look at this. This is his own tip drill. And then makes the catch, and he's gone. Then a move too, but these are the Vikings. Crunch time, holding, play called back Adam Goldberg.
Watch Adam Goldberg. We have him spot shadowed right there. You're going to get that call almost every time, even though you put the arms out like you didn't do anything at the end.
Later in the fourth quarter, it's Ramsey to Taylor Jacobs. And he'll take it down to the 1, setting up a touchdown, 21-10. And so the Vikes need 2 scores very late. Culpepper to Nate Burleson. Closing seconds, Culpepper. They're down 11 still. You talk about a miracle. What do you do if you're Washington? Knock it down! With Marcus Cuckoo Kachoo Robinson catches it. They make a 2-point conversion, 21-18. Now look, Randy Moss is walking off the field. I know the odds are slim, if at all. So you got to get the onside kick, start lateraling it, kick a field goal. But Moss is gone. The Vikings, at this moment, are gone. Mike Tice sees the mark fall to 8-8. And the Redskins, trying to be that #1 defense overall in football, beat the Vikings 21-18. Betts had 118 yards. Oh, by the way, the 2 touchdown passes, Culpepper give him 39, 5th best single season total of all time. And so the Vikings at this moment out. But there are other ways for them to get in. Saints and Panthers both at 7-8. Now, Muhsin Muhammad's second half of the year has been unbelievable. Made a great catch in the first quarter. Look at this in the third. Wow! Wow! And that pulls Carolina, who's down at home 14-3, to within 14-10 of the suddenly just as hot New Orleans Saints. Later third quarter, Aaron Brooks said, hey, I'm a great quarterback with an inconsistent team. Said, Joe, don't bother me right now. I'm on the horn. 44-yard touchdown. He was comparing himself to Jake Delhomme, but you know what? He backed it up on this day.
Yeah, absolutely.
He drilled him this morning, Tom, but he backed it up today. Meanwhile, Will Smith, men in black, forces Delhomme to fumble it there, and Aaron recovers. Saints put pressure today.
That pressure came from a 4-man front.
But here are the Saints. They're up. 7.5 minutes to go, 21-10, and normally reliable John Carney misses for Jim Haslett. Then, Delhomme to Muhsin Muhammad. Here we go. 9-yard touchdown, 21-16. They go for 2. Delhomme. Daylight come. You got it, Delhomme. To Mike Aluminum Seidman. Touchdown. 2-point conversion, 21-18. Saints trying to ice it. Brooks to Ernie Conwell. Short of a first down. He goes out of bounds. Stops the clock. The foot goes out. Oh, no, they're trying to run it out.
Yeah.
So the Saints punt. Mitch Berger hams it. And it's a big play at this stage of the game with a minute to go. Down to the 2-yard line. So the Panthers, they just need a field goal, but they got a long way to go. So, no timeouts. Delhomme to Chris Mangum to pitch to Nick Goings, the hook and lateral. 20 yards. Nice play. Now at their own 22, Delhomme Daylight coming. You're going to have Muhammad, the mountain, 16 yards to the 42.
And you're seeing a continual play here. They didn't spike the ball. They ran another play.
Tick, 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 tick. Yes, they're in Saints territory, but tick, 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 tick. And then even a long incompletion. And so you got only one shot. It's a 60-yard field goal. John Casey at the foot. Forget it. Block. I mean, you got to kick it so low. Tony Bryant block. Jim Haslett's Saints. Jim Haslett's Saints went into Carolina, a team they'd lost to 4 in a row, a team that dusted them in their park a month ago, and they go in and win a huge game. The New Orleans Saints, Tom. They win it by the count of 21-18. And so, the problem is, once the Rams won, Saints, it didn't work for them.
Great effort.
Had the Rams lost, they would have been in.
Great effort from Jim Haslett and the Saints, though.
And a nice run, but albeit too big a hole for Carolina. And so, the Rams and Vikings make the playoffs. Rams, Vikes get in. They're 8-8. We showed you this on the Schwam a couple weeks ago. They are now the 6th and 7th 8-8 teams to make the playoffs. The first 5, including a division winner for Marty Schottenheimer, the 85 Browns, all lost their playoff games, so they would be the first if they did. Here are the NFC wild card now, okay? St. Louis at Seattle. St. Louis obviously swept Seattle this year. That's the ABC Saturday early game. Pre-game at 4 o'clock. The game is at 4:30. Minnesota at Green Bay. Green Bay beat him twice this year, 34-31. The second just last week on Christmas Eve. So that's the Sunday game. And obviously Philly and Atlanta have had 1-2 for a while. So both of these rematches. The good news for the teams involved was you're not going to have to look very deep to say, oh, God, how do we prepare for these teams? Hard to tell what you're going to see. I will tell you. Go ahead, Tom. Analyze.
Well, I was just going to say it's very difficult to beat a team, whether you're trying to do that 3 times during the course of a season. Seattle losing to the Rams. Now you get to play them again at home. We remember what they were doing to them at home, minus the last 4 minutes of the football game. Seattle could have had an entirely different season. I know you can't go back to it, but you can call on what you did well up to that point.
You know what's interesting? 15 times teams have swept in the regular season. They've met again in the playoffs. 10 of those 15, you can beat a team 3 times.
So let's cancel what I said.
No, I mean, you would think 10 of the 15, it's 3 for 3. We're just giving you the facts. We'll give you the predictions a little bit later. When we return, Primetime performers and a final word on the final Sunday.
NFL Primetime, presented by Miller Lite. Grab yourself a great-tasting low-carb Miller Lite. Primetime performers, brought to you by Energizer. Keep going.
Boomer, my game ball going to go to Aaron Brooks, a guy that we didn't think could get the job done. Said a few things in the paper this week that got him in trouble. Came out, backed up every word that he said. The 14 completions, 216 yards, didn't make the mistakes that we've seen, and you see how talented that team is when they are playing well.
Albeit they end up on the outside looking in. But you know who's on the inside looking in? Bill Cowher, the Pittsburgh Steelers, in a game they, quote, didn't need, played just as hard, knocked Buffalo out, 14 straight wins, 15-1. Hello, the Steelers. Home field, they get Mike Gameball. By the way, if you're wondering which conference is better, this just in. The AFC is 44-20 overall.
There you are.
AFC playoffs will be great. The NFC will be interesting.
Yeah. Well, we never know what's going to happen. Just never know.
Happy New Year, bud.
Happy New Year, bud.
For Tom Jackson, I'm Chris Berman. Thanks for watching Prime.